Next, Resolution 2015-02, Certificates of Participation, Beta.
This is for the financing and the acquisition of installation of equipment for the Student Activity Center not to exceed $1,310,000. At this time, I'll ask John to go through the resolution.
Good evening, John Haas with Ransom Financial Consultants out of Wichita. Before you is a resolution authorizing the issuance of a lease in an amount, and I'd like to amend that to $1,315,000 from the $1,310,000. And the reason why it went up $5,000 was that, given the markets lately, is that the underwriting discount, which is the maximum amount we allow for an underwriter to have for profitability, those spreads have widened as the demand for bonds has gone down a little bit lately. Now, that's not necessarily, and we're going to change it from 1.5% to 2%. Doesn't mean that that's what it's going to be, but we want to allow for that. And that discount is bid like interest rates also. So with the amendment, what we would do is $1,315,000. Behind the memo is the anticipated amortization schedule. Bids would be due, this is just an example schedule based on interest rates today. Bids would be due on July 28th. If the resolution is approved by the board, you'll see the average debt service would be about $108,000, and interest rates are still good. The anticipated interest rate is 3.1%. The estimated project cost down at the bottom is $1,252,464. Cost of issuance to the right of $36,000 approximately. And you'll see what I was talking about, 2% underwriter's discount. We went up 1.5%, which was about a $5,000 change, $1,315,000. If bids come in and the underwriter's discount is lower and the rating fee is lower, then we can reduce the size of the COP. But the resolution itself is a resolution of the governing body of Dodge City Community College determining the advisability of financing the acquisition and installation of certain equipment by the execution delivery of an equipment lease purchase agreement and authorizing the offering for sale of lease purchase agreement certificates of participation, Series 2015B. Again, we'd like the resolution under consideration to be amended from $1,310,000 to $1,315,000. And the time and the date of the sale is still July 28th, but the time of the sale would be 11 o'clock. Then what we would do is be here at the meeting on the 28th for you to review the bids and make your final decision to accept or not accept the bid at that time. We're doing a lease agreement. This is would be equipment for the dome project. Under the capital outlay project, for your consideration, you'll make a decision at that time if you want to fund some non-equipment purchases under that bond issue. Questions you may have concerning this resolution? I'll just kind of, I'm going to be here a little while, so I'll just hang back.
All right.
For discussion.
Is there a motion?
I'll move approval of the resolution 2015-02.
With the amendment
With the amendment.
315. All right, is there a second? Second, discussion? And all in favor of this proposal, raise your hand. And opposed? Motion carries 3-2. Next action item, A1C, Resolution 2015-04, Beta.
Yes, this is for capital outlay bonds. I've given you two options because this was tabled at the last meeting, and the first option involves $824,000 going to the Student Activity Center, and option two is for just the south parking lot and the east support wall of the physical education building. The difference is the $824,000 that is going to the Student Activity Center.
You have a resolution in front of you authorizing the sale of capital outlay general obligation bonds. I'm going to amend this one, but I'm going to go a different direction. I was in New York when this option was reconstituted, and my staff guessed at the expenses the best they could. So they came up with $1,220,000. I came in and cut $10,000 from expenses. So we're going the right direction, right? So anyway, on table 2 is the anticipated amortization schedule. Again, this will be paid from out of your capital outlay levy. On the $1.2 million, the average debt service is $253,000 a year. Anticipated net interest cost is 1.95%. If you decided to go with option 2, the issue size is $365,000. Average annual debt service is $76,500 a year, and still at 1.95%. Like the Series B COPs, we'll have the sale on July 28th, and we'll have the sale at 10 o'clock for the capital outlay bonds, to be followed by the COPs at 11 o'clock. Upon approval of consideration, if you desire to do so, Mr. President, the bond council has asked for a roll call vote on this particular issue. Questions that you may have for me at this time?
Any questions for John on this?
Are we going to vote separately on these, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
So if a motion is made for passage of the resolution, a decision will have to be made between the $1,210,000 and $365,000.
I'll move approval of option B.
Option B is which one?
Option 1 or option
Specifically.
2?
It says B on the,
It says option B, table 2, second
It'd
page.
be the $1,210,000, let's go that way.
That's
that
what you're
includes
referring
the funds
to.
for the activity center.
That is the one you meant.
Okay.
I second that.
There's a motion and second. Discussion. Be appropriate if anyone had comments related to the work session yesterday, or bring up to speed on some of those things. Do you have any comments on that, Morris?
I think the foundation has done an excellent job in putting this together. They made the significant cuts in the project. They scaled the project down so that it is feasible. With our financial condition, I really think, we're really obligated. We've placed our trust in the trustees to get this thing done. This is what it's going to take. So I think we should move forward with it.
Okay. One thing that was noted yesterday in the work session that was one of the cuts, or that was left out, but I think it's going to be up to the administration, the board, and the business office to find a way to fund it, is to get the cable and the fiber and all the things that make that a 21st century usable building for students, for everything else. And so that was cut out, but that needs to happen. And so it'll be a challenge to find that extra money at some point, but I think it can be done. And that is not included in this. Any other comments?
I would echo that too, and we really owe a vote of thanks to Dwayne Ross as the community, or as the foundation chair, for his support and his continued positive attitude about that. I appreciated that he was here yesterday to explain that to us.
The whole foundation.
Yes, the whole foundation board.
Now, if I recall, when we were talking about remodeling Sheldon Hall, was that money not coming from capital outlay as well?
No, just revenue bonds. At one point, we had talked about it. But this will be coming back in September, and it'll be strictly revenue bonds.
Good point. I know we discussed that at some point earlier. It's not the same thing.
And Beta, can you just make a point of clarification as to how this plays into what's already determined as far as our capital outlay goes?
This is the cycle, a 5-year cycle, so we paid off our last 5-year cycle and we're moving forward with what we're going to use the next 5 years to pay off. And the payments are within the generated revenues.
And then on the point that Dr. Conant raised, is it going to be feasible without affecting our tax burden to the public to work in the financing for the parts of the project that were left out that are absolutely necessary? Such as the cable and the internet and the things that we can't really do without there.
With the flight program, we are anticipating a $500,000 carryover and projecting probably more than that next year, but we're not sure right now what will be the excess, but that would be what we would probably start using to make up the differences. I just have to put it all in our proposed budget.
Of which will be next month, right?
I'll be bearing in how this year ended and what our proposed budget is for the following year.
All right. Any other questions, comments, discussion? If not, we'll call the roll on the vote for this proposal. Your vote, Florence Jean.
I vote yes.
Okay. Dr. Presley,
Yes.
Dr. Reeves,
I vote yes.
Dr. Joy,
No.
and I vote yes. Motion carries.